Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Again, apologies in advance for any croakiness that you may have from me, anyway, not from anybody else on the show. We're doing some independent interviews now, which we really love, the British Indies. We're big on this over here, obviously over here because we're in the UK. First things first, let me introduce my co-host. He's been away for a bit, but he's back, Mr. Michael Jolly. I was going to say morning, but it's afternoon now. Afternoon, Michael.
Afternoon, you're all right.
Yeah, how you been?
Busy. Social life,
Yes,
background, getting stuff sorted with our channel. Brilliant, yeah.
and a
Just a
great
busy,
job
busy
that
bee.
good and a great job you're doing with us as well. So thank you
I
for that.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Our guest today, actually, Michael, do you know what? I'm going to let you do it because
Oh,
you've got the
no.
guest. So go right ahead, man. Do it.
We are proud to announce and have on the show someone who I've respected for quite a while. So I do apologise about making you a bit embarrassed there. A gentleman that has come from the boxing world and took the British independent wrestling scene by storm as soon as he stepped into it. Um, RP Davis, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. Good. Nice to talk to you, mate.
I've spoken to you on socials for quite a number of years, and
We
it's
have.
always a pleasure to finally see you, not face to face in person, but on the screen. So it's a pleasure to have you on the channel.
Thanks for
Um,
having me on.
so straight away, I just want to ask, where does the RPD come from?
So my name is Ryan Paul Davis, and what happened was when I was boxing, when you apply for your pro license, you have to apply under a name, and I asked to be Ryan Davis, obviously, but there was another Ryan Davis in the British rankings, so they told me that I'd have to change my name, and I was, dead against that because my dad was a fighter, my granddad was a fighter, so the Davis name is sort of I wanted to carry that on, so I said to them, well, I don't want to be called like Ryan Black or something like that. I want to be Ryan Davis, and they said, well, you can't be that. I said, well, what about my middle name's Paul? I said, what about Ryan Paul Davis? And they said, no, you can't be that because it's Ryan.
Yeah,
And I said, well, what about my initial? And this is actually wrestling related. I thought of CM Punk, and I said, what about RP Davis? And they said, yep, we'll go with that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So as a pro, like on my box rec and everything, I'm RP Davis, and I had to go with that. Now, I'd
yeah.
never really used my middle name at all, really. Throughout my whole life, it was always just Ryan Davis. But because I've come in as RP Davis very quickly when I started boxing, all the people who come to support me started chanting RPD, and that's where RPD's come from. So
Oh,
Very
brilliant! All right. So obviously you brought up the boxing side of it. If people don't know you, you have a school with is it with your dad?
my dad was my professional boxing coach, and so he was my corner man right throughout my
Yeah,
career. And when I retired from boxing, we had a space that we used for myself, for my own training, and we thought, well, what we're going to do with this because we've got a lease on it and all that sort of
yeah.
stuff. So we sort of converted it into a gym and changed the whole ethos of what it was, and it became a sort of gym in Blackpool for everybody, a boxing gym for everybody though. So I don't just look to try and get fighters.
Yeah.
Obviously I have got fighters and I've got lads who fight for me and stuff like that. But on the great whole, it's for people from any walk of life, from kids right up to elderly citizens, and we just get them involved and show them what a great sport boxing can be.
It
That's
certainly
fantastic. Is that
can be.
and as you said, you put on these events as well throughout the year in Blackpool, which
Yeah,
I've had the privilege of seeing on social media. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to haven't been in person, but I'm gonna have to get up and see you guys in action up there. But yeah,
yeah,
you're doing fantastic from that.
it's going really well.
Anything from? Sorry, go on.
No, the shows are going really well. I mean, what that does is the sort of twofold really. One, it keeps my gym busy throughout the year because you dangle that carrot three times a year that there's a show, and lads, it gives them something to train for. Do you know what I mean? So they've got an event all the time throughout the year that they're training towards, which keeps my gym busy, which obviously helps profits and whatever. That's good for us. But then on the flip side to that, the shows themselves, we've partnered up with a local charity from Blackpool called Cash for Kids, and basically what we do is we collect money on the night from all the patrons and everyone who come to watch us. And every year we give them a big donation, and it gives kids presents at Christmas time. So for the poorer kids in the town, and that is great as well, because obviously we're doing a good thing, which is nice for the gym. But I genuinely do take a lot of pride out of that, because I feel like we're giving back to my town a little bit, and that's what I'm all about anyway.
Absolutely. Adam?
Yeah, that's really good. Right, is there a link or anyone that we can put anywhere for that charity on the page anywhere?
Yeah, I can find the link for it. It's a local charity called Cash for Kids. I'll get when I finish this interview, I will send it all over to you. And if you want to promote that, that'd be great for me as well if you could. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, absolutely, we'll do that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Obviously, look, you go into wrestling as well. So was wrestling always a thing that you had in the background there, or how did that sort of materialize from boxing into wrestling?
Well, it wasn't, no. I have been a wrestling fan since I've been 2-year old, 3-year old. I think my first action figure I ever got was an Ultimate Warrior that's arms that move like that.
Was it the blue one out of the blue box?
Yeah, it was, and a Hulk Hogan I got too. So, um, I've been a fan since a kid. I was a big superhero fan growing up. Love Marvel and DC and stuff like that. And when I saw wrestling, it was like, to me back then, it was like superheroes come to life, supervillains come to life. Like it was real. And all the, especially back in the 80s. All the goodies had. Bright colours on, and great costumes, and the villains were like, you had Undertaker and Jake the Snake, and real easy to see villains. And yeah, it was a big eye opener for me, and I've been a fan. I fell in love with it as a kid, and I've been a fan my whole life ever since, really.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We grew up in the same era, so I know exactly, and
Yeah.
Michael did as well. We all did. At what point then did that switch start occurring, Ryan? When did it is that when the boxing career dwelled down? That you're like,
Yeah. So obviously, I'd been a big wrestling fan my whole life. I've got the same group of mates that I had since high school. Really, we're still the best of friends now. But we were all geeks really at school. We loved wrestling, and we loved comic book shit really. But but on the great whole, I was never involved at all, physically in wrestling. I just used to stay up and watch the Royal Rumble with them, watch WrestleMania, watch the big events. I'd stay up to date with it sort of weekly. But boxing was my big, growing up. That, as I say, it was in the family. My granddad and my dad were both boxers, and so I got into that very young. And then, if I'm honest, was probably I didn't even know you could get into pro wrestling in England growing up, and I know that it's now that sounds so naive, but I really didn't. I didn't know there was an avenue to get into it. But anyway, I went down the boxing route, and that took me till I was 30 years old from being about 8. But when I retired from boxing, luckily I'd built up a good reputation, certainly within my local town, but further afield than that as well. I'd done well in Britain really, because I'd kind of built a bit of a following. When I retired, I got approached by a friend of mine, who known me for a long time, called Johnny Brannigan. Now, Johnny Brannigan runs Grand Pro Wrestling. I didn't know this. I didn't know this at the time. And he said to me, I know you've retired from boxing. This was about a year into retirement. I know you've retired from boxing, but would you be interested in having a wrestling match? Because I know you like wrestling, and he knew I liked wrestling because he's known me a long time. But when I boxed, I always used to come to the ring to a wrestler's entrance theme, and it was like my little nod to my mates in the crowd. It sort of confused everybody else. Like, everyone's coming down to these like badass rap songs, and I'd come out to like, Stone Cold Steve Austin's music or The Rocks or something like that. Um, but yeah, I got this call and it was like, "Would you like to have a wrestling match?" And I laughed at him and I said, "Johnny, I'm 5'10" and I box at welterweight. I said, "What possibly could I do in a wrestling ring?" And he said, "Ryan," he said, "you've had a legitimate boxing career, a legitimate fighting career." He said, "I can sell that." He said, "Don't worry about that." He said, "We'll get you in with a good guy. You'll get your training. We'll put you through your paces, and then we'll have this match." And that was initially the plan. I thought about it. I got out of shape a little bit because I'd been out of boxing for a year, and I was sort of in limbo a little bit of what to do with myself. And then this opportunity came, and I thought, this is a great opportunity to try and get back in shape again, and do something that I've always loved, and I could just tick it off the bucket list. I'll do one match, and then I'm done. And I thought that that's what was going to happen, but it didn't. It didn't work out that way. I had one match, but I fell in love with it, and so here I am 7 years later, and a lot has happened in them 7 years.
It has. The
Can I?
last one from me. Oh, sorry, Mark. Last one before me. Before I hand back over to Mike. You when you're training, because obviously,
Yeah,
look, you've been put through your paces. Now, boxing, obviously, I don't know too much about it, but I know I watch it, and I know there's a lot of conditioning involved. You got to do
yeah,
12 3-minute rounds normally, or depending on the division or the championship that you're
yeah.
in. Did that play a big part? Because I know you said that you'd lost, you may have gone out of shape a little bit, but did that conditioning factor kick in a little bit when you were training?
100%. I'll be honest with you. I think that's why you know, and that's not to sound arrogant because it's been one of the biggest challenges of my life becoming a pro wrestler. Like it's been so hard, so hard. I can't. I thought I'd find it easy, and I haven't. But I think what has helped me is I've always been a natural athlete because of the boxing. And again, not to blow smoke, but I've always been very fit. So once I got fit again, once I started training for this and I got fit again, I think that conditioning has helped me, to be honest, right through my career because I'm able to think still because I'm not gassed all the time. So I'm pretty. Because I do think my fitness helps me, and I'm a good listener as well because of the boxing. I'm very used to my dad shouting orders and whatever, and obviously me sort of adapting to what he's saying while still doing a job. So I just literally when I got into pro wrestling, I did what I always did. I shut my mouth and opened my ears and put the hard work in, and that's what I've done for 7 years, and it's so far, touch wood, it's served me right.
Perfect. Michael, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your career, you've already got in wrestling has just been a fantastic one. You're the current Odyssey and Preston City Wrestling and KOW Wrestling champion. So congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
I wanted to ask. So I'm sporting an old retro 2013
Yeah,
PCW T-shirt.
yeah,
It's for me, it was one of the ones that I went to, especially when they used to do the supercards with Ring of Honor.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got to meet the Kevin Owens over there. Brilliant, fantastic
yeah,
shows. The one that I didn't get to see because due to marital um, anniversaries is I would have loved to have seen you this year facing Frankie Kazarian
yeah,
at the Road to Glory show,
yeah.
where you put on you put up the PCW Championship. How did you find that?
Fantastic, fantastic. I know. I mean, when you say it like that, it's mind blowing, isn't it? Really,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's been a whirlwind. Like I say, from them 7 years ago to where I am now, it was just meant to be one match, and and I'm done. And then I fell in love with it, and then I really dedicated myself to it, and I dedicated myself to not only the training and becoming a better wrestler, but I dedicated myself to being a better performer, being better on the mic, being better at every facet of it. But one of the main facets that I feel that I sort of am very good at, or put a lot of effort into. One or the other is the fan interaction side, and if I'm honest, I believe that is why I've had the success I've had. And that's not to diminish what I can do in a ring or what I can do on a microphone, but I do think promoters see me as a viable asset to them because I put time in with the crowd. They seem to get behind me everywhere I go. Um, After a show, I'll wait as long as I need to wait to make sure everyone's happy and they've got everything signed and they've had pictures and all this sort of stuff. Because to me, it's a great honor to be a pro wrestler. Like it really is. It's like, I'm living. I'm very, very. I'm a very lucky man. I've lived two dreams in my life. The boxing was some of the best memories in my life. Then I retired, and that should have kind of been it. Then I got this chance to do the wrestling, and I have loved it. I can't tell you how much I've loved it. And I think people see that as well. I think audiences see that, and I think promoters see that how much I'm genuinely happy to be there and give my time and I'll try and be as good as I possibly can. But this just linked back to Frankie Kazarian. I've not gone off on a tangent. It just linked back. But what I'm saying is from them 7 years ago, I think that sort of organic relationship I've had with the fans, and then because of sort of people wanting to see me, promoters then have been very interested in me. That led all the way to like you say this year wrestling someone of the name of Frankie Kazarian in my hometown of Blackpool, um, who I grew up again watching on TNA and stuff like that. I mean, guy's a legend, and yeah, it was a surreal moment, but amazing to wrestle Frankie because he's such a professional, great guy, but obviously in the ring, just so excellent. And so again, another massive moment for me of keeping that shut and opening these, isn't it? Because if I can't learn from Frankie Kazarian, there's something severely wrong. So, it was great. It was great to work with. It was very, very giving, and yeah, I loved it. And again, another massive bucket list ticker. That one.
Well, regarding what you were just saying there, regarding so with Frankie Kazarian, obviously the Blackpool Gazette give you a really good write up regarding it. Frankie Kazarian on the socials were very much saying, "Let's do this once again."
Yeah,
Down the line, which is very, as you said, for someone who's come from a background of boxing to come into the pro wrestling. Yes, you've been doing it for a number of years, but for somebody on that level of Frankie Kazarian, not dismissing the UK talent, they've turned around and just gone, look, let's do this again, because that clearly means he really enjoyed the working with you.
He was fantastic, and like after the match, he got on the microphone, and it wasn't planned or anything. Like, he got on the microphone, and he did like a big thing about how he loves traveling around the world and seeing different places. And when he comes to places like this, he knows that the future of wrestling is in great hands because of the talent. And he like myself. And I nearly pulled him and said, "Listen, Frankie, I'm not far off your age, pal. I don't know if I'm the future, but on a serious note, that was a really lovely thing for me to hear from somebody like that. Like, I thought that was a bit of a pinch me moment because I thought, someone as good as him thinking that I'm good, and it was a massive confidence boost to myself as well, that I can perform at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, it's been great to see that again. Pass it back over to you,
I
Adam.
hope, I hope so. I hope so. I mean, there is. I know there's plans for some big names down the line. But if Frankie's ever around, I would love to. I'd love to do the dance again.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. Actually, they had Austin Aries there as well, didn't they? PCW.
Yeah, they had
That's
Austin Aries. They had I wrestled Dijak there.
nice. Yeah,
So I mean, I've been very lucky. I've got to share the ring with a lot of really really good talent, and hopefully there's plenty more to come. But I've just got to keep working hard, and performing. You only get opportunities like that if you keep knocking the ball out of the park, as they say. So I've got to keep doing that.
I'm sure that you will. Just a quick one on that, because on your earlier years at GPW, there you wrestled now probably one of the best, if not one of definitely the standouts of Brit wrestling, Luke Jacobs, and you wrestled Ethan Allen as well
Yeah.
back in those days. Did you notice then? I mean, I know you say you come from a different background, but can you just tell? Do you get wrestler's instinct that these two are going to be maybe a different breed to everybody else?
Oh yeah, I mean, I met them. I met them boys when they were boys. To me, they were boys. I mean, I just started. I mean, I'd done about. They were very good to me. I'd done about 8 weeks training when I first met the young guns, and they were just kids, and but so talented even then, like ridiculously talented, and they helped me massively at that time, and sort of try to guide me, and I was involved in like 6-man tags with them and stuff like that, and so obviously they were doing all the heavy lifting, and they were just shining me up and making me look really good. But yeah, I mean they were always extremely talented lads, and you again, I think in anything in life, you get out what you put in, and you can see just by glancing at the social media of the effort that Luke and Ethan does. I mean, Ethan's had some terrible injuries, but he keeps fighting his way back in, and that shows passion, doesn't it? And that shows the ability to want to be something at anything, but certainly in this case, pro wrestling. I think it shows a real desire to be one of the best, to keep coming back from, injuries that a lot of people I think could just go, yeah, that's enough now. But he gets back on the horse and comes back better. So, yeah, I mean, both extremely talented lads. I worked with them both recently. I did. They were on that Rev Pro show with me. So again, it was good to catch up with them. I've not been in a ring with them for a few years, so it was good. It was interesting. They were a bit bigger than they were back then. So yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine that they was. But you have wrestled another boxer as well back in TNT. If memory says right, 2022,
yeah.
you wrestled Anthony Agogo. Now, how? Because you mentioned about you listening a lot and you having to open your ears, or open your ears and close your mouth and whatever. How was that one? Because you both had not come from wrestling backgrounds. So who really took the lead in that?
He took the lead in that. He
Mm.
took the lead in that. I mean, I was still pretty new to it, but if I'm honest, I think I would have probably have had more experience than Anthony at that point. But the difference was Anthony was signed with AEW back
Mm.
then, and he came in obviously as the star because he's the AEW wrestler. He's the Olympian level boxer. So he was statistically a better boxer than I was as well. So um, he came in, and again, I was happy. It was an opportunity that Jay Apter gave me, who runs TNT, and it kind of made sense. I'd been making a bit of a name for myself in TNT as the ex boxer. Then he gets Anthony Ogogo, who's the Olympian AEW star and whatnot. So I think it kind of wrote itself. But again, I just listening to Anthony. I mean, I did put a lot of ideas forward too, because I knew that certain things would be good and certain things might not have worked as well. But at the same time, I know Anthony now, and I've known him ever since that day, and we saw each other at Bloodsport not long ago as well, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. But yeah, on that night, I let him take the lead because he came from and also probably came from an odd point of view of not really knowing much about me. So, and if we're honest, he probably didn't know much about me or what I'd done or anything like that. He'd have just been told that I was an ex-boxer. So he kind of led the show there. And it went well. To be fair, it went very well. I very much enjoyed wrestling Anthony. I'd like to do it again because I think it'd be much, even better this time because I've improved greatly since that time, and I know he has. And so, yeah, I think it would be an even better match now.
Thanks, Michael. Over to you.
So you just mentioned about Rev Pro. So you had your debut match in the company at the Morecambe Football Club this past May. Obviously, Rev Pro has got a big following behind it. You've just talked about the Young Guns, who are going to be facing FTR this August. How was it? And obviously, you've had your in the past. You've had your debuts at Progress. You've also done Bloodsport, as you said yourself. How did you find the difference between working Rev Pro and Progress?
I've had great experiences at both, to be honest. I mean, that's a very politically correct answer, isn't it? But it's almost like I don't want to offend anybody. But no.
All I mean is obviously you've got two very big companies in the UK that are well known. It was just how obviously. The main one is you wrestled at the Electric Ballroom for Progress, and you've wrestled in the Morecambe Football Club. Basically, all I'm wanting to know is that how did you find wrestling in a football club on the grounds? How did that feel?
Well, fantastic. I mean, when I work for Progress, this is what I'd say the difference is. When I work for Progress, I've known the owners of Progress for quite a while, Lee McAteer and the others, through TNT, because there was a bit of a connection between TNT and Progress for years, and I was TNT Ignition champion for like over a year or something like that. So I used to see Lee quite often, and we had a good rapport, and he was a friend of mine. And then nothing was ever mentioned in regards to Progress. And then when I got the call to go to do Progress, it was from Lee, and I went in. So although I was completely new to Progress, I did know what I was going into. That was probably the difference there. Although it was a new company, I knew Lee, and I had discussions with Lee leading into it and stuff like that. So I knew what to expect really. And Lee's always been very good to me, and he's a good guy. And I know he's just sold the company and everything like that. But I've only got good things to say about Lee, in all fairness. Now, to flip that, the difference with Rev Pro is I didn't really know Andy. I'd never spoken to Andy before. Obviously, I knew of Rev Pro, massive company, great company. But I didn't know Andy. But it was what was good about this, and in Andy's credit, to be honest, and this is what I would say is I got brought in a completely different circumstance to Rev Pro, because they were going to Morecambe, like you say, to the Morecambe football stadium. And I have been a regular, if not the face of that company in Morecambe, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, for the last 5 years. Like, that's my town. Like they're an unbelievable crowd at Morecambe, and I've been like their guy for like 5 years. And so I got approached by, Andy actually approached Odyssey first about Odyssey having some sort of part on that show, and then they put their names forward of who they thought would be best represent them, and at the minute I'm the champion there. So I think I was the first name to be put forward, and so I spoke to Andy kind of briefly through WhatsApp, but I didn't really know what to expect at all, because I didn't know how they'd want to present Odyssey on a Rev Pro show and whatnot. But I've got to say, they were absolutely unbelievable with us. Like, unbelievable. Andy was so giving to us, and so I think he understood. He's an experienced promoter, so I'm doing a disservice saying no, he understood. Of course, he understood, but he understood that the Morecambe fans are their own fan base, and would probably get behind us Odyssey lads quite highly, and they did. And Andy gave me a really good spot on that show. He put me in with some of his main eventers, all of his main eventers, in like a 6-man gauntlet, and both the part that I was given and the workers that I worked with that night, like I say, some of the best going, like, Jay Joshua and Luke Jacobs and Michael Oku, and really, really great guys were just so fantastic with me and to work with that night. So they really did try, and we all did. We did a good job that night, but they really did try and certainly make me look like more than I belong there.
Lovely. Well, hopefully it comes back more, and you get to be shown on that on their
I hope
platform
so.
again.
Yeah. I'd love to work for Rev Pro again. I mean, the reaction that day was unbelievable. But again, I'm in Morecambe, and I'm pretty popular in Morecambe, But I'd be very interested to return to Rev Pro and see if I can win their fan base over. I think I could.
Yeah.
I think I could, because with respect, every company I've ever been, I've always won that I've always won the crowd over. But yeah, I'd love another opportunity at Rev Pro and see what I can do.
I hope it happens. Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Definitely. So, right, we're going to ask some few random wrestling questions, then we're going to start wrapping up, Ryan. So, right, the first random wrestling question I asked you before we went on air, so you've had some thinking time. Everyone has their Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your Mount Rushmore of wrestling theme songs. What are they, please?
How many have I got? How many choices? Four. Well, Austin straight away is the for me the absolute, and I'll go one step further. I like the Disturbed Austin one.
Yeah.
When he come back from the injury, that was my favourite. I thought that was unbelievable.
I was gonna ask you which version.
Yeah, I love all Steve's music, but that one as a young teenager, that was just the most anti-authority thing I'd ever heard, and I was a big fan of that. So Austin, again, I'll put the Rock in there. I love a lot, most of his entrances, but I'm a big fan of his most recent one, that final boss entrance. I thought that was incredible. Music, two more. There's been so many, haven't there?
Yeah.
There's been so many. I think for like iconic, I'm being a bit boring really, because when I think about it, they're all the classics. But I think the Undertaker has to be there, just for like sort of atmosphere and a song suiting a character. I think the Undertaker has to be there.
When you say the Undertaker, do you mean his authority at the dark side or his biker side?
Oh no, the dark side. The dark side. I like the little biker run. I did like that, but to me, the Undertaker's the Undertaker when he's the dead man.
The authority type of
I enjoyed that he did a different. He showed sort of a different side of his character, didn't he? With the Big Evil and all that sort of stuff that he did. But I was a big fan of the Undertaker, and certainly that run he did when he went back to the dark side, and he had all the WrestleMania matches and everything like that. I thought he was, even though he wasn't last on, he was the main event, wasn't he, of WrestleMania for a long time, and I thought the music was a big part of that. I'm a big story guy, me. I love wrestling, of course I do, but I was kind of infatuated as a kid and as a teenager by the stories and the Attitude Era, and there were so many great stories, and that to me is when wrestling is at its best, and I think Taker, particularly because as it went into the modern day, and we went a bit more reality based as well. To have him still on the show with sort of like a mythical figure character. Yeah, I love that still. I was a big fan of it.
Good. You got
So
one
I've got the
more.
fourth
Yeah.
one. Jesus. Whose music do I like? There's so many people's music I like. Who can we think of someone new? God, it's hard. Do you know what I did like? I liked Kurt Angle's TNA theme.
Yes. Yeah. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
That was mint.
yeah.
That was really good because I liked his WWE theme, but his TNA one was like completely different, but somehow was amazing. I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, there you go. We'll take that as the
There
four.
we go.
So, next one is table for free. You can have a dinner with three people in wrestling. It could be wrestlers, personalities, referees, whoever, owners. Who's the three people you would have at the dinner table?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
As you can tell, I'm a mark for the man. Like,
Yes.
if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I'd be as in love with this sport as I am. You know, like certainly when I was a kid, when I was about 9, 10, 11, he was the boy, and I'd never seen anything like him. I'd never seen a hero like him before. You know, and that probably, if I'm honest, impacted more than just like even my love for comics and things changed because of him. Because before that, I was probably like a Spider-Man and a Superman fan and stuff like that. And then after Austin, I was more of like a Punisher and a Daredevil fan and stuff like that. Because I think he brought more the anti-hero side of things out of it.
Like
And
fighting the authority. Yeah.
yeah, and for whatever reason, I took a real liking to that. So Austin would be one. Number two, wrestling people. Number two would be William Regal.
Good shout.
And for a cheap plug, I've been for dinner with William Regal, and so that's why I'm having him again. He was good company, so we'll go for William Regal.
Well, weren't you a combat club member? Was that right?
Apparently, well, he said at a Comic Con, someone asked him about me because they knew we knew each other, and he called me an honorary Blackpool Combat Club member at a Comic Con.
Yeah.
So I'll take it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I wish I'd have got the money that would have got me. But
Yeah.
no, I never got the money, but I got the applause for one day, so that's good.
Well, last one of the three. Who's he going to?
Three. If I'm honest, probably The Rock again, just because of how successful he's been, obviously as a wrestler, but everything he's done apart from wrestling as well. I mean, debatably, probably the biggest star that's ever come from wrestling. In terms of other things as well, you know what I mean. So, I mean, I know Hogan did a lot of acting, but not to the scale The Rock has done it. And so, yeah, probably The Rock.
Yeah, there we go. There's the three. Right. As we start to wrap up now, Ryan, look, what do you set yourself goals? Is it now you're at the point where you still want to say, hey, I talk to a lot of BritWres guys and they're like, I still want that big contract in America, or are you content with what you're doing? What would you say your goals are for wrestling?
Well, I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like I've got no ambition or anything like that because I certainly have, and I'm far from done. It's just I've achieved so much in such a short space of time. I've achieved more than I ever thought I would now, and so everything else, every day is a bonus now at this point. But in terms of would I want a contract? I mean, if the money was right and it was a great opportunity, I'm sure I would want a contract. But that isn't what I'm aiming at, if I'm honest. There's a few little things I'd like to tick off. Yeah, I would like to wrestle abroad. I'd like to be able to say I flew out to somewhere and wrestled and got paid for it. That would be great. That is on the list. Like I say, I don't think my time with Progress is done. Well, I hope not, it doesn't feel like it's done. I had two big showings there and unbelievable crowd sort of responses both times. So I do think there's stuff I can do at Progress. As I said to you, I'd like to work for Rev Pro again. Hopefully I get that opportunity. But in terms of like what I want to do, I just want to keep while it's still fun, and for me it's still fun, and while it's still a privilege, and it is still a privilege, I just want to keep working for the best places I can, putting the best performances that I can, and meeting people. Like, I've met so many great people through wrestling, both friends and peers and wrestlers, but also fans. I love going to different places and meeting people and talking to them, and knowing that they've had a good day and stuff like that makes it worth in my opinion, makes it worth my time, doing it. So yeah, just want to keep the ball rolling, and hopefully some more big matches. Yeah,
definitely. So Michael, last question from you before we wrap up.
To be honest, you've covered everything that we've already said. It's all I want to say is just it's just been a privilege to have you on the show. And all I want to say to you is keep doing what you're doing. You're doing fantastic work on the scene. The crowd's behind you, the social media is behind you, the company's behind you. And as you said, keep doing what you're doing. And it's everything that you're wanting, as in your bucket list, will get ticked off very soon, mate. So
thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, mate. I appreciate that.
Ryan, before we go, where can people find you on social media, and how can people book you?
Yeah, so on social media, I think I'm RPD Fighter on Twitter. I think it's just RP Davis on Facebook and Instagram. And then if you want to book me, you can contact me through any of my social media, or my email address is rpdboxing@outlook.com. And that's because of the gym. It's not. That's because of the gym. It's also my business email. So yeah, if you want to book me, yeah, by all means, get in touch, and we can have a chat, and hopefully come to a good decision.
You never know, Ryan. We've got a championship on the Brit Rest scene. Just saying, yeah,
I like titles. I'm good at. I'm seemingly very good at winning them as well. So if you want to give me a chance,
there we go. Chris Aries, your card has been marked, sir, already. But speaking of Chris Aries, and that brings me on to the last part of the show: Ignite Wrestling Battle Lions, July the 12th. Chris Aries will make his second defense of our championship against Scotty Rourke. We will also have the Ignite champion Tommy Tanner against the last person to beat him at Ignite. The Vulture, Spike Trevay, will be back to do that. There will be another load of matches, so check it out at Ignite Rev Pro and ignite.96.eventbrite to get your tickets. They are nearly gone. Coming up on the show very, very soon, a recently released WWE star. We're going to open the Wyatt 6 door and speak to Joe Gacy very, very soon on this channel. So keep it locked here. But Ryan, as Michael said, it's been a privilege talking to you. We can't wait to see what's next for you. And hopefully we'll get to see you at Rev Pro and Progress and all the other shows very, very soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, lads. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Michael. We'll see you again next time on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Till then,
buckle down.
Stay safe. Goodbye.